So check out this lady. This clip is so weird. She's ghosting her boyfriend and she's blocking him on all platforms except Venmo. So he keeps donating money to her, trying to talk to her. This is such awful, toxic behavior. I'm done with you, but I'll still accept your money. I'll still take your donations and then humiliate you on social media. But as disgusting as that is, I think I'm more judgmental of the man because where's his self-respect? She's blocked you on everything, but you're still donating money to her? Zero standard, zero self-respect. You just want to grab him by the shoulders and shake him and say, wake up, come back to reality. Then he regains consciousness and he sees my face and he's like, oh, where was I? What happened? And then I can reassure him. I'll be like, it's okay. You're safe now. You had a temporary dream that this woman was special, even though she wasn't, and that she's not replaceable, even though she is. God, the simping epidemic is just out of control. That little sequence there is not that different from how a lot of my Hey Hero requests go. When people ask me for advice, which you can do here, I get a lot of variations of a story of this woman has rejected me, or this woman is no longer responding to my texts. How do I get her back? Or even if he hasn't dated the girl yet, there's no established romantic history. He's just lost in that soulmate fantasy. He's got that one-itis. I've seen so many cases of men absolutely devoted to a girl who seems to have no interest in him and quite frankly seems like a low-quality woman anyway. It's like men across the globe are infected with this mind virus which keeps telling them that these ordinary women that they're chasing are special and irreplaceable, but they're not. Objectively speaking, sticking to the facts, these women are not special. But then why do so many men keep making that mistake? It's usually just because she's temporarily paying him attention or she paid attention to him in the past, and that's all there is to it. If you've never had a girlfriend or you've been struggling to get dates, I can understand when a girl finally comes along and pays you a bit of attention, gives you a bit of an opening, it can seem as though she's special. Like, oh my God, who's this girl? Who's this angel, this lost soulmate who's finally giving me a chance for happiness and opening into a relationship? This is amazing. She's special. She's unique. She's irreplaceable. No, she's not. But some men get really emotional and defensive when they hear that. Like, well, you don't know her, Alex. Who are you to tell me that she's not special? There is something special here. There's something unique. We have a special bond, a special connection. You wouldn't understand it. Okay, granted, I don't know you. I don't know the circumstances. Right now, I'm just a guy talking to a camera and you're just a guy listening to this. But if this describes you now or in the past, I want you to answer me this question. This will determine whether or not this girl is actually special. So you need to be 100% honest with me. There's this girl that you like, that you're pursuing, and you think that she's special. Okay, but now I want you to imagine that you and her exist in an alternative reality. And in this alternative reality, you have 5 dates this week with other women. Every one of these girls is super hot and really into you. They're kind and they're feminine. They want to spend hours with you. They're desperate for more dates. Suddenly your phone is blowing up with options. Now, in that reality, is that original girl still as special as she once seemed, or is she simply one option out of 6? If she no longer seems as special, then that's your answer. If you're being honest with yourself, you'll realize that she was never special. She was just your only option. Now, I'm not judging. I'm not saying this to shame men. I understand that the dating market is brutally difficult for guys, but you've got to stop fooling yourself. If the reality of the situation is that she's your only option, that doesn't mean that she's special or that you should elevate her in your mind. As much as this might shatter the sort of Disney Hollywood soulmate fantasy you've got going on in your mind, the raw truth of the matter is that she is replaceable. Now, she's not going to be replaceable forever. If you enter into a long-term relationship with her, she becomes less and less replaceable and legitimately more special. I've been with my partner for 13 years and she is uniquely special to me. We have a huge history, lots of pair bonding. We have a child together. She's not easily replaced. No new woman is ever going to be able to give me from the first date 13 years of shared history. But I hope you see my point, which is that yes, some girls are special, but it's the time that you spend with her that makes her special. She's not inherently special. And guys need to hear this, because if they're falling into the trap of thinking that some girl is special or irreplaceable and they've only known her for a month or two, they're delusional. There are billions of women on this planet. She's not special, and actually the thought that she is, that belief, is incredibly dangerous. Because do you know what happens to men who start believing that the women that they're dating are special and irreplaceable? They start to use that as an excuse, a very convenient justification for dropping their standards, for allowing their boundaries to be crossed, for ignoring red flags. Ordinarily, I'd only date a woman like this or that, or a woman who's achieved this. I know my worth and I want a partner who's of similar quality to me. But there's something special about this girl. It's okay if on paper she falls beneath my standards because there's just something unique and irreplaceable about her. Or usually I wouldn't let a woman treat me this way. I don't like to be disrespected. Usually I'd end the relationship there, but I don't know, there's just something special about this girl. I think I'm gonna let it slide and just ignore the rules because she's so special. I know I've only known her for a couple of weeks and I've seen a lot of red flags, like usually, any kind of drug use or having a lot of debt or a lot of sexual partners in the past. These would be red flags for me, but I don't know, there's just something special about her. I think I'm just gonna ignore those red flags and keep pursuing this. Because she's so special, it's my job to ignore those red flags. No, it isn't. She's not special. It's such a cope. Men keep backwards rationalizing themselves out of their own logic. They keep trying to convince themselves that the woman that they're pursuing is special because it's a very convenient excuse to continue to drop their own standards. They want to keep pursuing her, but not because she's special. It's because they're desperate, because they're lonely, because they're horny. And she is the only girl that's showing any flicker of interest in him. That's the real reason she seems special. And instead of actually doing the right thing, putting in the work, raising his quality so that he can attract a woman who's more impressive, he just doubles down on the desperation. And then to silence his conscience, like, what are you doing? This is a ridiculous course of action. This girl isn't worth it. He just numbs himself to all of that and says, doesn't matter if it's not logical, she's special, I can feel it. If this sounds like you and you're honest with yourself enough to admit that you've done this, but you don't want to do it anymore, please go and do my course. Check out the real stories. There are some cautionary tales there that once you get into your mind are really going to help prevent this from happening in the future. It's sad because the man isn't seeing the woman for who she truly is. He's so desperate to play out his soulmate romantic fantasy that he's going to twist and distort the facts, the reality of the situation in order to complete this story he's playing out inside his own mind. It's completely delusional, and you find that guys end up interpreting all these problematic behaviors in this unjustifiably positive way, like, oh, isn't she quirky? Isn't she interesting? Isn't she different? No, she's lazy, she's selfish, she's self-destructive, but she's showing interest in you, and so you're using her as a prop. You're just projecting all this nonsense onto her, imagining she's special, when clearly, by her actions, she's shown that she isn't. Once a lonely man has got his own head deep enough up his own butthole, it's like there's a lack of oxygen in his brain and he stops thinking clearly. I've even seen guys use demonstrably negative behaviors from the woman as further evidence of how destined for true love they are, how special. Like every time she flakes on him, every time she insults him or criticizes him or does some other disrespectful behavior, in his mind, he's like, oh, this is just the hero's journey. This is just, cutting through the thorns to try and get to the sweet, happy ending at the end. We're tortured lovers, kept apart by circumstance. Can't we both see how much all this pain just shows how much we love each other, how destined we are for each other? God, I hate that. Life just isn't like that. It's not some romantic movie. Love is a real thing. Pair bonding is a real thing, but it's more practical than you might imagine. It's two sensible, rational, high-quality people recognizing qualities in each other that sync up well, that they admire, and then making the decision to join those lives and to have shared experiences. If there's a lot of drama in your relationship, that doesn't reinforce that you two are destined for each other or that this is some brilliant love story. It probably means that you're dysfunctional and codependent and you should end it. You can even see this belief that the woman is special as a sneaky way of men boosting their own ego. If you pretend that she's really incredible and unique and special, well, that just adds to your glory. It boosts your ego because you're the guy that was able to get this amazing woman. And ordinarily that would be true. That would be a legitimate reason to boost your own self-esteem, but it only works if she's amazing in reality. If you're just delusional, that it doesn't count for anything. But please, if you've watched this far into the video, then you must understand what I'm saying, or trust me at least a little bit. If you've subscribed to my channel, you must think that I have some basic wisdom about this stuff. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be watching my videos. So please, let me take what credibility I have and then deliver to you this message, because so many men need to hear this. You cannot afford to be complacent about this. Inside every single man is an inner simp that is desperate to throw away his masculinity and be rescued by a woman. Did you know that about yourself? Have you got enough honesty and courage to actually admit that there is a part of you that's like that would love some woman to rescue you, to mother you? I'm not going to judge you for admitting that. I'm going to admire you. You have the courage and the self-awareness to actually identify that. But I want you to know him. I want you to know that inner simp intimately, what he wants and how he operates and the way that he twists the facts of reality inside your mind. Because once you understand him and where he's coming from, you're going to be immune to his tricks. You need to lock that inner simp up. He has no place in the dating market. He has no place in your romantic relationships either. You know where he belongs? In a therapist's office. Again, I'm not shaming. The issues, the emotions that you have surrounding this stuff are real. They need to be explored. That's 100% legitimate. So few boys growing up actually received the support and encouragement that they needed from their parents. But women in the dating market are not surrogate parents. Therapists are surrogate parents. And so you go to a professional and you sort your stuff out. You don't play it out in your romance. You don't delude yourself into thinking that women are more than they are, that they have these incredible, magical, angelic abilities to solve all of your problems. They don't. And so if you have this weakness inside yourself, what do? Do you give up on the dating market? Do you try and wait until you're perfect before you ever date a woman? Or do you recognize that you're a work in progress and you date, but you keep that inner simp locked up and you battle it out? It's a very complicated subject, so I made an entire video about it, and you can check that out here on my Patreon. So if you want to keep the discussion going, if you want answers to those questions, come join me over there.